Hello traders, it has been 2 weeks too long since I've last posted a video. I'm currently in Cape Town, South Africa. Absolutely beautiful place. Highly recommend for anyone who has not been. Living it up on the beaches and just exploring. But let's get down to business here, okay? So what we're gonna be talking about today are social trends. I've talked about this before. I talked about Google Trends. What we looked at in Google Trends was how many people are interested in a cryptocurrency. Now, typically, when everyone knows about a cryptocurrency, i.e. the Google Trends data is just like spiking like crazy, that signifies a market top. An example of that was in my presentation, where is it? Yeah, right here. You can see a point number 4 on Doge. Way back when, a lot of people were talking about Dogecoin, it topped out at point number 4. You can pause the video if you want to look at that more, of course. But what we also want to look at is not only market tops and market bottoms based on how many people know about something, but also how do we ride the wave? I.e., when you hear about coins like Shiba Inu, Floki, Squid, that didn't end up too well, but coins that are just beginning to build hype, how do we play it? Well, typically what we want to do is first detect what kind of market stage we're in. If you ever think that you're close to the thrill or euphoria stage, that just everyone's super bullish on something, that's obviously terrifying for us to buy because it's probably a market top. If people are, let's say really panicking and capitulating, typically that's a terrible time to sell. Those are good, hard, fast rules. But how about the in-between? How about the hope stage, the relief stage, the optimism stage, excitement? How do we buy during an uptrend before others buy? And that's where the social dominance indicator comes in. Social dominance tells us how many people on the internet are talking about something relative to other cryptocurrencies. So with that, if we look at any of these cryptocurrencies, we can look at their social dominance over time, which I can just click here. And this is all free, by the way. I click this, and this purple line basically is of the entire cryptocurrency chatter that's been recognized, how many people are talking about a coin. Here's what you need to know about this indicator. When price spikes, really, just spikes like on crazy volatility, all-time highs, and then you get a surge in social dominance, that's a pretty bearish sign because that means that a lot of people are buying in the top typically. But when you see a slow, steady uptrend with pretty strong social dominance, that's actually, weirdly, a pretty decent sign that the trend is probably going to continue. Because essentially what's happening is you haven't hit full, capacity for how many buyers there are. Because when we look back in time, there's going to be an uptrend stage, right? And in that uptrend stage, there's a series of buyers. And at one point during that uptrend, the last buyer will buy. Now, what we want to do is detect how many more buyers are going to buy. And when social dominance is rising a little bit, that can be a sign that more and more people are being attracted to buy. And we can hop in before it's too late, even though you don't want to FOMO. So let's look at some examples of that. There's the 1 week, the 1 month, the 3 month for Floki. The 3 month is a little scattered, but I can say that this is interesting. This is actually really, really interesting. Do you guys see what's going on here? I'll put it to candlesticks. Remember, candlesticks is price, and the percent social dominance is the purple. Access is on the far right. What do we see here? Well, I do see a surge in social dominance, even though the price was flat. So let's talk about what was going on in October for Floki. So as much as I probably wouldn't have bought this coin, this is capturing 1.755% of all cryptocurrency conversation, and it's moving flat. Now, that by itself is telling me that the price isn't really moving, but a fair amount of people are talking about it. That could be a sign that it was about to surge. Now, of course, I am using 20/20 hindsight, but you do totally need to understand the difference with social dominance, with social volume, with a lot of people talking about something relative to others. When price is flat and there's building interest, then typically that could be a bullish sign. Now, I think the easiest way to categorize whether a bunch of people talking about something is bullish or bearish, it also depends on the popularity of a coin. If we're talking about something like Bitcoin, then my example in my previous video where I was talking about you typically want to buy disinterest is probably the best thing to do. The reason for that is because Bitcoin is already so well known. Bitcoin, Ethereum are already so well known in the world. And because of that, it typically pays to buy disinterest, and it's almost never really a good idea to buy like surging interest in Bitcoin, at least not in the medium term. But when we have coins that are just up and coming, or coins that are, not as well known, that's where things get a little bit different. That's where if we see people talking about something more and more, that can actually be a sign of bullishness. So what I want you guys to think about is categorize either, is this a coin that everyone already knows about, like Bitcoin, Ethereum? If it is, you should be trying to buy disinterest and sell high interest, i.e. buy low social dominance, sell high social dominance. If it's a coin that's just beginning to become up and coming, i.e. the entire world does not know about it yet, then what you want to do is look for surging social dominance, meaning a lot of people are talking about something, but the price hasn't spiked yet. Because that's a sign that the Robinhood or the Coinbase or Binance people, retail traders, are just going to come in and start buying it all up in a frenzy. And you can try to position yourself before that. So let's talk about this a little bit more. We see at this point, October 3rd, a lot of people were talking about it, and it was pretty consistent. Now, if I look at the other things, like let's look at social volume, sure. Social volume was also pretty high, with mentions of it throughout the internet, 27,000 in one day. So a fair amount of people were talking about Floki. Now, I don't know how much of this was spam and scammers, but I can say, just looking at the raw data, seems like there was a fair amount of interest. Now, sentiment I haven't really looked at too much. Yeah, mostly it's just social dominance that's important. But yeah, that is something that you should be looking at. When price is flat but social dominance is spiking, then that can be a sign that it might be up and coming. So let's look at some other ways to look at this. So what I've done is I've sorted by social dominance, as you can see, filter. And I also did top 1,000 coins, as you can see here, sorted by social dominance. You can sort it by other things. That's how I got here, actually. So what can we see from other ones too? Well, let's see this coin, Elon. I think this one had a really strange chart because of the... Oh, interesting. Yeah, so this one's really interesting. I don't think that the entire world or the entire cryptocurrency community knows about, this coin. But what I can see is that social dominance is really spiking. So this does look like it could be very, very interesting, because a fair amount of people are talking about Elon, this coin. Now, if I look at the actual raw volume, it's about 7,900. Really, the way I like to look at kind of what I'm doing right now, guys, is a crystal ball assessment, where I'm kind of just not looking at where price is going to go, but I'm looking at how other people are viewing a coin. And when I see something where there's just not much interest in a coin that's not that popular, and there's just a surge in interest, and the coin is consolidating, that typically, to me, means it's got a decent risk reward. So that is something to think about. Now, of course, this doesn't mean it's like guaranteed to rise, but this does mean that people are talking about it and might be interested in buying it. Now, again, I'll look at average sentiment, but I don't really glean too much from it. Yeah, it doesn't really change much. The average sentiment doesn't really change much, but let's look at bullish sentiment. Interesting. Bullish, people spiked with how bullish it was here and here. Again, not typically a great time to buy. People spiked with how bearish it was here near market bottom. So that's another thing you can look at too if you want to get a little bit more in depth. Look for spikes in bullish to sell and spikes in bearish to buy. But yeah, I still think that this is probably the best indicator because it's telling you relative. If this is telling me that about 5 times more people are now talking about this coin. So this could be very interesting. So I don't want to make this video too long, but what I do want to tell you guys is really my framework or the best way to handle the crowd and interest in any cryptocurrency. So essentially, when everyone has heard about a coin, it's more of a, trading the interest. More of a buy people when people are disinterested and sell when people are interested. When there's a coin where just not many people know about it, if you buy that coin when not many people are interested, absolutely nothing could happen to the coin. What could end up happening is that it just declines because no one really cares. But if we have a coin that not everyone's heard of and there's surging social dominance, surging social volume, then that can be a sign of a good risk reward opportunity. And you can use lunar moon to not just analyze the way that I did, which was looking for relative highs in social dominance with consolidating markets. You can do that, or you can look at bearish bullish sentiment. There's a lot of things you can do here, and I recommend, I think it's a better idea to do this than like an RSI or a MACD or an ADX kind of assessment. Because this, I think, is really the most important data, which is the people who are interacting with the market, how they feel, which is far more important than any cyclical indicator. So with that, happy trading. I hope that this free tool is helpful for you guys. If you want to post your own analysis of how you view social sentiment, feel free to do so in the comments and we can have a dialogue on it. With that, happy trading, and I'll see you in the next one.